All of this is basically a syllabus, but it's just for the first unit. And we have, I don't know, 6 or 7 units. So they'll take a little while. And even though it says day 1, day 2, day 3, the company that sent this out this is based on a block scheduling. So really it's kind of double. So if something is 1 day, it really would take us probably 2 days, just because it would take longer because they have longer class periods. And it tells us, basically think of these as lessons. And so after the 5th lesson, that's when we'll have a quiz. And quizzes you can use your homework on, your notes on, all that stuff. And then after that, it says another quiz. We may just jump straight to the test. It'll depend. We may do both. It just, again, it will depend on how we're doing and all that kind of stuff. So what you have right now is this first thing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about graphs that you have probably not seen for a while. And we're just going to review these kinds of things because they're going to come up quite a bit in functions. So jump ahead. It says we're going to use a calculator. And we will, but not yet. Not right now. We can do this without a calculator. We can make a little XY chart if we need to. Okay, it says a basic square root function. Now we've called those in the past parent functions. If you remember that. But like a parent function has nothing added or subtracted to it. It's just your basic graph, okay? So we have the square root of x. So let's just think about this. Like if I plug in 0 for x, what would I get out for f of x or y? That's the same thing. 0, right? Because the square root of x, the square root of 0 is 0. I'm going to take something we can take the square root of. So it's the square root of 1. 1. What's another number I can easily take the square root of? 4. I guess it's 2 and so on. Okay. What happens if I plug in negatives? Like if I try to take the square root of negative 4. I's, I'm hearing some I's, yes. So if we had an extra axis on here that said I's, we would do it, but we don't, so it doesn't work. We can't take the square root of a negative without getting an I. So now let's graph these 3 points. You have 0, 0. We have 1, 1. We have 4, 2. It kind of looks like that. So whenever you see a graph in that shape, we know it's going to be a square root of some sort. Now, if I take that square root of x and I add 2 to all of those y's, what does that do to those y's? It moves it up, right? If I added 2, this plus 2 right here, if I added that to all of these, that just means each one of those points would move up 2. So instead of 0, 0, it's 0, 2. Instead of 1, 1, it's 1, 3. Instead of 4, 2, it's 4, 4. So this is a shift a transformation. And since it's added to the end of the square root, that just means it shifts up 2. So what do you suppose is going to happen on this one?
It's going to go down.
Yeah, it's going to shift down 2. You go ahead and graph that. You guys remember doing this a little bit last year, maybe? If not, we'll go over it just like you ever had it before, which is fine. Okay, so all of these points have now gone down 2 from their original. It kind of looks like that. Okay. Now we're adding 2 on the inside. So let's just make a little XY chart here. How would I get 0 on the inside of that square root? What would I need to put in for X? -2. Because if I put -2 right here, I get -2 plus 2, which is 0. All right. What would give me 1? -3 gives me -1. -1. And you may have said that and I couldn't hear you, which is quite possible. So that's 1. And what's going to give us 4? 2. And I did 2 plus 2, square root of 2, square root of 4, sorry, is 2. So let's graph those. -2, 0. -1, 1. 2, 2. So how does this graph compare to the one directly above it? How has it been shifted? To the left. How many? I heard it. 2. Very good. So if it's under the square root, or whatever it is, then it's going to go in the opposite direction of the sign. The reason why is because if you take what's under the square root and you set it equal to 0, that tells you that your x-intercept is going to be -2, which means it's moving left 2. That's why it's negative. That's why it's left. So what do you suppose is going to happen on E? This one. To the right 2. Go ahead. Graph that. Move it to the right 2.